everyone. Thank you for being here. This is Unlock Gamers Talk, the 11th episode, in which we will talk about For the King. In case this is first time that you are watching us, me and Uriel, I am Diego Cuti. I'm a creative director and game director. I work in the game industry in the last 16 years, more or less. And I have worked most recently on Starway Drive, which is available everywhere, and A Quiet Place, The Road Ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Uriel. I'm also a game designer. I worked on Dinopath Trail, and I've been teaching game design for the last 3 years. So, Diego, as you were saying, today we are going to talk about For the King. This is actually the first game that we've played together. This is what started our co-op, long co-op experience with video games. So it's
So thank you for giving us your time. This is a friendly chit chat. So feel free to say hi, to give question, opinion, whatever you want. And in case this is the first time in a Lucky Gamer Talks, is me and Uria and sometimes other special guests. And we talk about games, sometimes news, sometimes specific games. This time we talk about For the King. And yes, Uriel, I absolutely remember that is our first game. And it's very weird because, last week was the 10th episode. So I thought about For the King, which
yeah,
was the
it would
first
have
game.
made
It could
sense.
have been a kind of like a Eurobars moment. But once again, this is the beauty, I think, of Unlucky Gamer Talks. It's
Yeah,
very
exactly.
friendly.
Unlucky as always.
Unlucky, exactly. Unlucky, yes. In case, once again, people don't remember or it's the first time they watch us, why is Unlucky Gamer Talks? Because me and Uriel always play together, but always waste at least 30 minutes in be unable to play together. This happens most of the time.
Yeah,
So,
big classic.
Uriel, do you want to introduce For the King?
Yes. So For the King is a cooperative strategic turn-based RPG where players can explore a very big and procedural open world and fight enemies. So
Yeah.
this is what you do basically. There are a few interesting aspects, in my opinion, about this game. That first of all, let's make it very, very clear from the start. This is a game that both me and Diego really liked at the time.
Yes.
We both spent quite a lot of hours playing the game, both without each other and together, trying different versions of gameplay. And we have even tried For the King 2. I think we will mention the second chapter a few times during today's live, just to make some comparisons. The second one, we didn't like it as much as the first one.
It's not a bad game. I want to say it's not a terrible game, but it's not as good as the first one.
Yes. I think I will start by showing the screen now. So sharing the
Yes,
screen,
absolutely.
so
Yes,
it will be easier. Here we go. Share.
It will be instant. So maybe, okay. And you see today as last week.
Diego, sorry, it's really hard to understand what you're saying. It's lagging a bit.
I say if you play it again,
Yes.
let's try.
Okay, so sorry, the connection is not working very well with Diego, so we will need a couple of minutes to try and get him back online.
I'm back,
Hey, Diego.
and I was saying, sadly, it's because I'm on the go, so sometimes these things happen. Can you hear me, Uriel?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay. And do you hear me better with this or worse?
A little bit worse than before, but still,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
still
And
able
if
to
it's
understand
worse,
you.
no, no, if it's worse, that's okay. Then let's stay normally. It's worse. Okay, I was saying, sorry guys, sometimes there is this issue and there's someone else watching us. So go play Uriel and so what is for the king? First of all, as you notice, for the king is free player co-op, which is becoming increasingly a common number for co-op game. And this is connected to one of the problems, let's say, of co-op games, which is you need to have friends. I know it sounds, obvious and a bit funny, like, oh, I need to have friends to play co-op. Yes. And why is that is a problem? Well, because sometimes it's difficult to have enough friends. Now you might thinking, what is difficult to have two people? It's really that? Well, yes, because you might have friends that don't like the games. You might have friends that don't want to play this game. They already played this game. You might have friends that they don't share your timing. So maybe
Yeah,
you play at a certain time and they play another time. So the reason why a lot of games evolved into the free people model instead of four, six, eight, and so on and so forth is because it lowers the barrier. That's really what it is. It makes the barrier easier because finding two other people is easier than finding four other people.
yeah,
And finding four other people is easier than finding six, and so on and so forth. It's a simple concept, but it's really important because other games like Destiny followed this strategy. So it's becoming increasingly relevant that you probably this was a class decision, which I leave Uriel.
yeah. Sorry, Diego. The last couple of words lagged a little bit.
Oh, I was sorry. Oh my God. I don't know why the connection is so bad. It's probably because it's raining, so that is that.
Uh,
But I was saying if you want to talk about the class, so the player at the start can choose class.
yes, yes, absolutely. I will.
So you
Okay, we
saw
we have
the blacksmith.
we have the ads. As soon as they finish, I will go back a little bit with the video. But yes, before going into the class system, I want to add something to what you said because it's completely true. I totally agree. And whoever tried to play D&D or whatever other RPG, they know this very very well. It's hard to put people together, and for this reason, in For the King, you can actually play completely alone. You can have control over all of the characters. You can play the whole campaign, even just with one character or two characters, as you prefer, so that in the worst case scenario, you are still able to play the game. But anyway, first thing that you notice when you load up the game, you go into play, and you get up to three characters. You can customize each character. You can change the class and do a little bit of aesthetic customization that will change nothing
Yeah,
in gameplay.
color
So
scheme, hats, things like that.
yes, exactly. You start with just a few classes, like 5 or 6 classes, and what is interesting about these classes it's that they change both your stats and your gear, and they give you some special abilities. So going in order, you can see in the screen that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stats. This will impact both the fights and most of the things that you will do during the game. Because as for D&D and other tabletop games, you will need to roll on some stats to see if you can succeed during some tests and challenges. So you will have some simple challenges based just on that stat. The stat can go from 0 to 100 to 99, if I remember correctly, and that's like a percentage. And they will also affect how you use your gear and how effective you are in combat. Then you have special abilities that literally give you different abilities. They could be useful in combat, they could be useful out of combat, and then you have a slightly different starting gear. So you start off by already having to choose something that it's interesting and it will have consequences in the game. So both your own characters and the build of the party that you are creating will create differences in the run that you're going to play. And this is something important because For the King is a highly replayable game. So being able to each time create a different party and try to take on this procedural challenge multiple times in different ways is interesting. And this is why you unlock new classes while you play. So you are pushed and nudged to replay the game more and more times.
Mm.
Uh,
And on that, I want to add an element because you can replay the game multiple times, of course, you know this. And usually, what you do by replaying the game is that you unlock new mission, gear, and classes. But here's the interesting thing on 40K, which is classes, you unlock them. You have them at the start and you can choose, and it's okay. But for example, things like gear, you don't unlock the gear. You unlock the chance to get the gear or the mission into the game. What it means is now this game is gear based. That's an element that people need to understand. What I mean is that your stats are important, but really what affects your character is the gear. The gear is the main source of damage and special abilities and things like that. Now, of course, at the start, you have shitty gear, and you will potentially, luckily, find better gear with better stats and things. If you finish a level and you unlock the possibility to have the legendary sword of death and destruction, you don't get the legendary sword of death and destruction. You have just unlocked the possibility to randomly drop the legendary sword of death and destruction at a certain moment. So this is a very interesting concept, which is both amazing and super frustrating. Because sometimes it's cool because this gives you a lot of replayability. Oh yes, I really discovered this new object. I can't wait to replay the game and get it. But here's the thing: what if you don't get it? What if you unlock the special cool thing and you don't get it? And this is the frustrating part. I remember with Uriel multiple times playing together that we unlocked cool stuff that we never saw in the game.
yes.
It never appeared. And I was like, I want that. And why this is also frustrating, it's because sometimes this leads to you as the player creating the same build for the game. Because if you didn't unlock the new gear, the one that unlock new possibility and unlock new strategies and things like that, then you end up with the same road that you did before. In Italy, we say squadra che vince non si cambia. It means it worked before, it will work again, basically.
Yeah.
So if you don't unlock this new gear and you knew that the strong hammer worked before, you will still do the strong hammer because it worked before.
Yes. And there is one more thing that I'd like to say on the creation of the party that will actually impact the whole game. That is the alpha player. So, what is the alpha player? The alpha player is something that very, very often emerge in cooperative games, especially in tabletop games. Basically, it's when the whole game can be played by just one of the players at the table. So there is one of the players, since most of the information so maybe are shared among everyone, they will be able to take the decisions also for the others and say something like, okay, you should do this, and he's playing all of the turns. And basically, he's playing the game while the others are just watching or moving the pawns. Here, this game it happens a lot, and it happens right from the beginning. So when you need to choose the class, if one of the players maybe has a little bit more experience or it's a bit more charismatic, they could start to say something like, okay, but this build works better, you should pick this class instead of this other, and start to take decisions for the whole team right from the start, even before the actual game is loaded. And this is something that can still happen during the whole game because all of the informations are shared among all of the players. So I know what gear, Diego, you have, what you're able to do, what are your abilities, and same goes for the third characters. So if I think I've got the best strategy, I could try to force it upon you or even just suggest it to you. But if it makes sense and you are mm,
Not a troll player, basically.
yeah, you will just upset it because okay, I had another strategy in mind, but maybe yours is better, so we will do yours.
Exactly.
And it takes
And actually, let's continue to talk about this because this is it's a super interesting topic, and it's a great place to start talking about design because at the end of the day, that's also why we are here. And one of the elements, or the probably our chat or followers or people that watch us. I don't know how to call our probably the other unlucky gamers. Notice that this game has clearly a strong inspiration from tabletop games. It has
yes.
many elements. The fact that you have a grilled, hexagon grill. The fact that you have this D&D system with dice, the statistics, turn order, all these kind of things are very tabletop. And in fact, it has this issue of the alpha player. And one of the reasons why this game also had the issue of the alpha player, and it's something that in many games it's connected, is what Uri was saying, and not many designers understand that. And it's very important actually, which is cooperation requires efficiency. And that's a very interesting topic that is never get discussed enough, in my opinion. What do I mean by that? Is that now in many games in which you are a solo player, you are not required to be efficient at what you do. You can be. Think games like Fallout. In Fallout, you can play as efficiently as possible, reading all the guides about how to become overpowered as fast as possible. It's so full of video on Skyrim, Elden Ring, of becoming how to be overpowered 1 hour into the game and things like that. But also, you are completely free to play in efficiently as possible. For example, it's full of guide on can I finish Fallout without killing anyone? Can I finish Fallout without never turn right? There is literally things like that. And that's very inefficient. And why that can happen is because you decide your own pace. It's very simple. So I want to spend 300 million hours because I want to be inefficient. Okay. I want to spend as little time as possible to be more efficient. Okay. Also, someone else is watching us. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to, say hi, give your opinion, and things like that. Now, the other point is in co-op, you can't be inefficient. Why you can't be inefficient? Because for the same reason I said before, because it's difficult to find people to play with. So I don't want to waste that time being inefficient unless we decide to be inefficient altogether. Something that me and Uriel do a lot of times. In many games, we do this thing which we say that we build the grande opera, the big construction, let's call it, in English translation. And that's has nothing to do usually with the purpose of the game. It's a very big waste of resources and time.
It's just us being trolls.
It just us being trolled. But here's the thing: it's a contract between me and Will. We both decide to be trolled and to invest this time. And then when we do this grande opera, this big construction, then we try to be as efficient as possible at creating it. So there is again this efficiency concept. Because I don't want to waste real time and Will doesn't want to waste my time. We want both to play for as long as possible. And of course, playing for as long as possible means being efficient. And that's why the alpha player emerged in co-op game. Because many co-op games are not about trolling, are not about losing time. There are games like that, of course, there are exceptions for that. But most of them are about, like this one, beating enemy. And then you want to be efficient. And here's what Uri was saying. If you tell me, hey Diego, this is more efficient than your plan, I will say, oh yes, you're right. And accept the new plan, doing it, and therefore basically accepting to give my freedom, not agency, because I decided, so I'm in control, give my freedom of choice to Uriel because Uriel had a better decision. And if this happens, you know, one, few times, who cares? But in many games, including this one, is constant because look, very important is each player, and that's the other element that Uriel said, but I want to be very clear, has complete and perfect information on each other player. So if you really didn't know my ability or how many each point I had or how many ability I do have or what object or things like that, you can't understand the better situation. But if he has perfect information, then he can make perfect code.
Mhm. Yes, and I think the game tried to balance this alpha player problem in two ways that I can easily see. So it's interesting to look them out. So the first one and the main one is randomness. The game is based on random. As we said before, there are a lot of coin toss or dice rolling. So yes, you can say that your plan is better than mine, but actually there is randomness involved. So neither
Yeah,
of us
I'm luckier than you.
exactly. So neither of us can be totally sure of the outcome, and I can still say, okay, statistically you could be right, but I feel very lucky this time. And we know that there are many biases that involve the feeling lucky and the whole concept and perception of how luck works. It should not exist, but we perceive it as like a real force. So I could say, yeah, you could be right, but I feel I will do a perfect hit, and this will
Exactly.
save us some resources, or just it will
I
be
feel
way
it in my
cooler.
bone, it's my lucky week.
Yes. So this can a little bit shake up the alpha player problem, because we have full control over the information between each others, but we don't know how the random will turn up during the round. So neither of us can know that. And the other aspect that works again the alpha player is creating interesting, deep, and non-obvious decisions. So in the game, there is you can see in the top part of the screen there is like this timeline, okay, and you can see that there are icons over the timeline. So
Mm.
each time a day passes, this goes up one, this this bad sign will get closer, and if you don't solve some important quests before this icon gets to the players, you get one chaos point. At three chaos points, you will lose the game. So you are
Yes.
fighting against the chaos. There is a whole narrative, a whole story. So you both need to be very quick in gathering resources, experience, leveling up, and getting better. So farming, exploring, etc. But you also need to be very quick in solving some specific quest. And most of the time, it's not obvious which choice is better, because okay, but we still have time until the chaos arrives. Yes, but we need to be ready. We need to start advancing in that direction. So this problem of the alpha player gets actually sometimes completely turned around, and it becomes a spark for a conversation where we are debating over which strategy would be better if we are both strategic players, of course, and creating many not obvious decisions inside the game, even if we both have perfect informations, may actually counter the alpha player problem. What do you think about this?
Not on the first part, yes. On the dice roll or in general luck element, yes, I agree. On this one, I don't agree on the second one
Okay.
because it's just more step to alpha play. Because yes, we will discuss, which is nice and it's a good thing to discuss. But eventually, someone, maybe it's not always the same player, but someone will eventually
Mm.
find a strategy that not necessarily is the best strategy, just a strategy that is convincing enough to be applied. And I remember that happened to us. We were discussing exactly that, like, oh, maybe Diego, you're better to go this mission, and I do that, and then we reconnecting this, and I will say, yeah, makes sense. Okay, let's do it. And that's really what it is. It's I'm just adding more steps because, of course, the decision is difficult. Therefore, it requires more coordination and discussion, but it's still an alpha player thing. At the end, someone will convince through ability,
Mm.
charisma, charisma check, or actual knowledge, the fact that actually is a good thing, and the rest of the team, once again, for efficiency purpose, will accept this. So for me, this is
Mm.
not a way. It's just a way to masquerade, which is okay, because of course games are smoke and mirror nowadays. So a lot of games are just about thinking, basically, making things more complex or not noticing it. And that's not only for the team. Every game ever made, every game that I made, and every game that I will make in the future, all share these things, always. But in a sense, because the problem is once again about fixing a problem. The only real way is what you were saying, or giving randomness in the output, so not be able to predict the outcome, or give inefficiency as a purpose, or not require collaboration. If you
Mm.
don't require collaboration, then you are free to do whatever you want, but then it's probably not a cooperative game. Now, there are some exceptions in which we can play the same game while not collaborating and having, generally speaking, the same objective. This is like randomly playing on MMOs on the map, in which everyone, as the noise, attacking the same enemy. We are not coordinating. We are not trying to be strong together. We just have this kind of like generically common objective, like I want to kill this guy, you want to kill this guy, and this is parallel co-op. That's how this is called, because we're not really collaborating. We are just
Mm.
on the same road, same direction, and doing each one their own thing. Even if I'm inefficient, it's just better me be present than not be present. So before moving, I want to actually ask to our audience if anyone has any idea how to make other solution to the alpha player other than not efficiency, not perfect information, and random in the input or in the output. There are other ways in which they are done. For example, there can be limitation. Games like We Were Here limitate the literally information that the player can have, and in this way, we can't have the perfect plan, and sometimes we have to make a long decision because we are literally impossible to talk with each
Mm,
other.
yes.
And another possibility, which is one of my favorite, but not, of course, every game can have that for obvious reason when I would say it, is the traitor system. If there is a possibility that there is a traitor, then discussing a perfect plan can be already a risk because our traitor could hear, or we can't exactly discuss a perfect plan because we don't know who is the traitor.
Hmm.
So just assuming that, let's say there is me, Uriel, Tizio, and Caio, typical Italian random names for these things, and we don't know who is you know, the traitor. Maybe it's Diego, maybe it's Uriel, maybe it's Tizio, maybe it's Caio. Statistically speaking, it's usually Caio, but that's depend on history. And we're discussing maybe Caio is giving us fake information on purpose to making us doing the wrong decision because he's the thing. Or
Hmm.
maybe the entire plan revolves on Caio doing something, but Caio once again is the traitor, and he will do that thing inefficiently. So this can create a situation in which can't be the alpha player because what's again was saying Uriel, I feel Diego is the traitor. Okay, I will go in a different direction. Even if everyone say, no, you have to trust Diego. Diego must do I don't know, click the save the world button. I will follow him secretly because I don't trust him. I went against the plan.
Hmm. Yeah, this is actually a mix of not perfect information because we don't know who the traitor is, and well, mostly that
Yeah,
uh, we don't know who the who the traitor is, and there are many games that revolves about this, and this is a very interesting dynamics that comes on the table. For example, Among Us or Lupus in Tabula, etc. Secret Hitler, a game that I love. So yeah,
I adore Secret Invasion.
yeah, that's very very interesting. Another method that comes to mind, but once again, it's sort of limitation. It's D&D or any kind of role playing game. If
Mm.
you need to be role playing, so this is kind of limitation on the way that you speak. If we are in combat and I need to role play my character, it doesn't matter if I think of the perfect plan involving every action of every character. I will not say it because it would not be in character. So I can try to tell my plan maybe before the battle, discussing it with the other characters, but it would be different. And still, I would not be able to micromanage each scenario and everything that comes along because of limitation.
And actually, based on what you say, I think there is another one that's very interesting that didn't came to my mind. So thank you. Which is I decide to go against the right decision to role play my character.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if my character maybe is, I don't know, the stupid whatever, and he needs to have a panic attack, and of course I knew that would be better for my character to punch the bad guy in the face. It's obvious, but I roleplay the panic attack. Then this is literally unpredictable. We can't have a plan in which I can predict how you will think your character will react. It's just not doable.
Yes, absolutely. We've seen it many times because we also play tabletop RPG together. together. And right now, the campaign that we are playing is a horror-based campaign with literal terror involved. So many of our decisions as players are not based on efficiency. Quite the opposite, actually, because
Mhm.
more often than not, we are terrorized by what's happening. And I think we have a comment, Diego, if you want to read it.
Oh, yes, thank you. Sorry, didn't notice. Oh, sorry.
By John. By John.
By John. System like Traitor feels design chaos versus potential natural chaos of God. Yes, you are absolutely super right, John, and sorry for not seeing your message before. Yes, it's absolutely the same chaos. Yes, because of course, natural chaos, it's by nature unpredictable. And so it can break the game because too much chaos, which is not predicted by the designer or in general, the development team, can destroy the game because the player will go into situation that shouldn't happen. Think about bugs. Why bugs are a problem? Sometimes happen, and I'm sure it happened to you, Uriel. Maybe you can think about a situation in which happened a bug, and then developers said, "Oh shit, it's so cool. I want that to happen in the game," and they didn't fix the bug. Another time happened bugs in which like, oh my god, no, if this things happen, the entire game breaks. Okay, it's wrong, it's destroying the game. So natural chaos or chaos, it's potentially good, but most of the time destructive. Natural chaos usually it's less creative, of course, less imaginative, usually, but more controlled. So it tends to not destroy the game, or most of the time follow the design direction of the game.
Yes, yes, absolutely. This is the classic. It's not a bug; it's a feature. An example that comes to mind is in Rocket League. Initially, it was just drive the cars, hit the ball, and try to score a goal. Then people started to fly quite literally. They started to jiggle the ball in the air. They started to create a whole gameplay where you are never on the floor. You are not playing at the initial game anymore. And they fully went in that direction by simplifying the collisions of the cars. So initially, each single car had a slightly different collision box, so the angles where you were hitting the ball were different every time. In the more recent years, they only created like 3 or 4 collision box, and all of the cars in the game just have those 4 collision box, one of those. So it's easier for people to learn how to do all of those tricks, etc. And yeah, basically most of the games with a traitor are based on chaos. If you start to take out the chaos layer, the game auto solves itself. So
Yeah.
for example, if in Lupus in Tabula, in Fabula, you propose to the whole table, okay, we are going to solve the match very, very easily. I remember discussing this with Gianluca. Gianluca has been on the podcast before,
Mm.
so maybe someone already know him. And he was telling me this. If you propose this to the table, let's solve the match. So now everyone in order, we are not talking, we are not creating chaos. So everyone needs to say their role, the card that they draw. Everyone will say the truth. Of course, everyone
Yeah.
other than the wolves will say the truth, and the wolves will say a role that someone else already said. So now you have narrowed it down to 2 people have the same role. One of those is the wolf, and it's way easier to target them down. It's impossible to create chaos because you brought perfect information or semi-perfect information into the mix, and you resolved the chaos, the design chaos.
But the game is not as fun.
Yes, it sucks. It's not a game anymore. There is no
Exactly.
reason to play it.
And that's why it's natural chaos. It's good, but it needs to happen in development process. Design chaos is the result of what natural chaos brought, and you decided to keep. But this happens to game, not only design game. This naturally happens to game like football or soccer, depends on which area of the world you are, and many others, like the version of, I don't know, baseball, basketball, soccer, football, tennis, golf, any really sports that comes to your mind, are not at all the original rules of that game.
Yeah.
The original rules were completely different, but with natural chaos and the natural ability of human beings to exploit things that they understand, uh, strategies, imperfection, perfect solution, as we will say, and many other things came out, and then rules came out to solve them. Think even chess. Now, one of the most simple rules of chess, if you play competitively, also there is someone else watching us, so thank you for watching us. Feel free to say hi and give comments and chit chat. This is a free chat. Is to have in chess the timer. Now, why the timer is there? Well, the timer is there for two reasons. First, what exactly we are saying. If I have infinite time to make a move, potentially I can always make the perfect move because I can evaluate every single possibility. By evaluating every single possibility, I always get the right, which is why computers solve chess because they do that exactly that. They evaluate every single possibility. They just do it very very fast. So the human mind doesn't notice. And the second one is because limit create chaos. It's more probable that you will make a stupid decision if you have a time limit. I'll give you an example of my experience in this case, not with chess, but with Magic the Gathering, MTG. Many years ago, I still play MTG in limited and things. But many years ago, I was also playing competitively, so kind of like a more important tournament. And I was at the final, 1v1. Who wins this game gets first place. And in case you play Magic competitively, you know the first place is usually way better than second. So it's the money value is higher. Let's say. And I had the victory in on the table, and I made a mistake, and I made the wrong decision, and I end up in a draw instead of winning. Why? Because I had 30 seconds to make the decision because there was the time limit. Magic has a 45 minutes time limit for each match. And there was 30 seconds, and after 30 seconds, they were declaring draw. And I was checking, trying to understand if I could win or not. I was in panic mode. Oh my God, I can be first. First is amazing. Yes, let's go. I have only 30 seconds. And I made a mistake. And everyone was like, why you didn't do that? I was like, I didn't notice. Oh my God, I didn't know I could do that. I made a mistake. And this is a design chaos. Because once again, if I had infinite time, I will eventually notice that decision and made that perfect call and win the match. But this also made the match more interesting. Of course, more frustrating for me because I wanted to win, but also more interesting for the people watching because there's something that in game industry it's called you missing lead time. That's what it's called. This is you had the possibility to win and you missed the chance because you didn't notice. And this comes from timer, for example, in this case, timer. So even in any, especially in co-op game, timer limit are very commonly present. Even in this game, there is a timer limit. It's hidden, but it's what Uriel was showing before. Is the bar on the top, the one that tells you the next skull, therefore your limit. That is there. It's a literal. timer. Now it doesn't look like a timer. It looks like a night and day cycle and things like that, but it is a timer. And me and Uriel, many times we were like, "Oh my God, we have only like 3 turns until the next skeleton. We need to do something until we do that, or we lose." And it's a timer.
Yeah,
And
and
this,
that was super
press.
interesting because many times it pushed us to take stupidly improbable
Chances.
chances, because otherwise we would just lose. We know we will lose in 2 turns. So what can we do in these 2 turns to try and avoid it? And it brought us to interesting and unexpected gameplay, basically.
Mm.
Mm.
And now we are 45 minutes, and I want to say the last things because, of course, we reached the limit. But there's one concept that we didn't talk. And if you can go back in 10 seconds, Uriel, maybe in the video, 20 seconds, maybe.
Yeah.
There we go here. Uh, Now, this game has also space, which is very risky. But in this game, it's present for trolling. And here is one of the examples. When you beat the enemy, the loot will be shown to one specific character that can then pass it to the other character. Now, for example, this rope I'm inventing could be useful to, I don't know, Ash. No, Ash is the one that got it. Okay, let's say we could be useful to Proxy. Now, Ash, what can he do? He can decide to pass it, and then he will go to the guy after, or he can equip it, and so, or keep it simply, and just denying his friends or the other player of the efficient route, because of course the efficient route is to give the correct gear to the correct type of build, of course. For example, this is a clearly a mage object, so it makes sense to give it to the mage. Why Ash might want to do that? There's no reason in the game. Literally, there is no reason, no effective reason to do that other than trolling. It's there and here just for allow trolling space. Now, why trolling space is allowed in this type of game? Because this is a game that you tend to play solo or with your friends. It's very rare that you will play with random people.
Yeah.
Why it's very rare? Because it's a game about talking constantly, making this decision, the alpha player. There is no advantage into playing with random people. There is literally no advantage. So yes, trolling can be entertaining with a friend. It can be just like, oh, okay, I'm Ash. I'll pass it to you, Prezi, and then the other guy, oh, I'll keep it. Oh, fuck you, Prezi. And this can generate a laugh 1, 2 times. Of course, if it becomes a common pattern, you will kick that player probably from the group.
Yes, absolutely agree on everything you said. Very interesting, by the way. I didn't think about this in that way.
Last question from John. What are the major changes in the sequel that made you guy not like it so much? Oh. Well, for me, it's 3 things. First is it's very, very similar. It didn't innovate in any way other than have new object and new things. And that's not enough for a game that is based on replayability. So I know it a lot. So this is the first thing. Second is the NPCs. Now, the first game have a very casual but clear story of you are the heroes. There is a bad things to eat. You know, go and beat the shit out of this evil guy and save the world. Very clear, very simple, but very efficient. In the second one, there is these NPCs that are so annoying. The story it revolved around the idea that you have to build this army, so you have to become friends with various faction and NPCs and recruit them until the end fight. And it's like not very hero-like, you know. It doesn't feel like a hero. It feels like I'm doing chores. You know, oh yeah. Literally, one of the characters is like, I lost all my money, but if you get money from me and pay my debts, I will join the revolution. It's like, I don't want to do that. It's way better to get money and power me up. I'm way more efficient than you to like the revolution, but you have to do it. It's just a mission. So you have to collect all these not interesting and not heroic NPCs. And the third part is that, um, generally speaking, I felt there is less randomness and freedom in the game respect to the first one. Many of our missions, because the same each mission is basically save this NPC, were exactly the same. In fact, in the first one, for the King one, I always felt that every new random generation was very, very different, vastly different.
Yes. For me, I can identify a couple of reasons. Um, I found it less inspired than the first one. So the first one had many very, very inspired stupid little things. For example, there were the first enemies that you found, they were like super stupid trolls, and they were buckets on their head, and they had like staffs, mage staffs, with a book maybe tied on the top. And first you thought they were like wizards because they had the rope and the vine, but they are just warriors. They are stupid and they are using the stuff with the book
The wrong stuff.
as yeah, as axes. And little stuff like that. It was sparkled all over the game. So every few minutes you were playing and you shared a small laugh over something like that. I didn't found this in the second game, so it seemed a little bit less inspiring. But mainly for me, it was a problem of progression. So in the first game, you had a very long single adventure in the main campaign mode, at least, and you were able to create a super powerful character by the end of the game with a very strong progression, and you kept getting better and better and better, better gear, level up, etc. I think the end level was about 20, I don't remember. In the
Mm,
second game, the main campaign is divided in chapters, and the chapters are way smaller than the main campaign of the first game. And at the end of each chapter, you lose your character and you start over with new characters, with new gear, almost from scratch. I didn't like that. I really liked the possibility to create a strong build all over the time and to progress literally. And seeing my progression wiped out all of the time, it was not rewarding. So for me, that was a big hit. And
mm,
why the second game, it brought a few quality of life improvements to the first one. The gameplay was mostly the same. The dynamics were very similar, but overall, I still like the first game way better because of these
mm,
reasons.
mm. Okay, perfect. So once again, thank you everyone for following us. Thank you for staying with us even with this issue, technical issue on my side, traveling around was difficult. So thank you. And if you have other questions for the future or anything, or any game that you want us to talk about, assuming that we played it, of course, let us know. And see you next week. Bye.
Okay, bye.